Today's learning target is I can estimate and compute mentally. Today we're going to be solving percentage problems mentally. So the key when solving these problems mentally is to take a look at what we know here. So in this problem I have 75% of 24. Now 75% I know is 75 out of 100, but I also know that this is 3/4. Now, I know that 1/4 of 24, okay, would be 6, because if 24 divided by 4 would be 6, or if I split 24 into 4 groups, it would be 6. So 1/4 equals 6. If I have 3/4, it's going to be 3 groups of 6, which would be 18. Now, I wrote this down, but I wanted to show you my thinking. So I know that 75% of 24 would be 18. Now this 80% of 60, I could do the same way if I wanted. I know that 80% is 8/10, which when I reduce that down is 4/5. So I could figure out what 1/5 of 60 is. Another way I could look at this is I know that 80% would be 8/10. So I know that I can do this mentally. I know of means times, so I know 8 times 60 would be 480. And I have that decimal one place in, so that would be 48. So I know 80% of 60 would be 48. In these problems, I'm going to use decimals to compute mentally. All right, so again here, we see 10% of, I know of is times, of 76. So I know 10% as a decimal is that. So if I take 1/10 times 76, I can look at this as 1 times 76, which would give me 76, but now I have a decimal, so it's 1/10. I have to move the decimal in that 76 one place in. So it's going to be 7.6. And this one down below, 1% of 122, okay, I know that 1% is 1/100th, because 1% would be 1 out of 100, so it'd be 1/100th. So here, it's again the same thing as what I did before. It's 1 times 122, which is going to give me 122, but my decimal is 2 places in here, right? So I've got 2 places in there, so I have to have 2 digits after my decimal, just like I had here, 2 digits after. So my answer would be 1 22/100ths. Now I can use that knowledge that I just did to help me compute mentally. A time that I do this very often is with tipping at a restaurant. Typically, when you look at tipping at a restaurant, most people say that you should, if your service is good, you should give a minimum of 15%, but some people will give 20%, especially if it's really good service. So once I get my bill from the restaurant here, I need to figure out how much am I going to tip. So let's just say that I spent a lot at the restaurant. It was $120, okay? So to compute this mentally, here's what I'm going to think. I'm going to think 10% of $120 first, right? So that's this 10% would be decimal 1. Okay, so 120 times 1/10, I know is going to be $12. Right? Because I moved the decimal one place in. Now I'm showing you what I'm thinking in my head. So if I was tipping 10%, it would be $12. But I know that typically I want to do at least 15%. So 10% was $12. So if I did 5%, that would be half of 10%. So another 5% on this would be another $6. So my total tip, if I were to do 15%, on that $120 would equal $18. Okay, now if sometimes when my service is really good or I really like the waiter or waitress, I'm going to give 20%. So here again, mentally, I know that $12 is 10%, so 20% would be double that. So if I wanted to tip 20% on that bill, it's going to be $24, just like that. Today you're also going to be asked to estimate for some problems. So the key thing when we're estimating percentages, is just like any other kind of estimating, we want to find numbers that are easy and quick to work with. Now in this case I have 26%, and for me, and I'm guessing for most of you, 25%, which is 1/4, Okay, that's really easy to work with. So I'm going to, instead of doing 26%, when I estimate this, I'm going to use 25%. Now, this number 64 right here, okay, so I could take 1/6 of 64. For me, I'm going to do 25% of 60. And the reason I'm going to use 60 is because if I were to break 60 into fourths, I know mentally 15, 30, 45, 60. Okay, each fourth is going to have 15 in there, right? Because 4 15s would equal 60. And I know that mentally. So 1/4 of 60 is going to be 15. In this problem down here below, 39% of 81, okay, here again, I'm going to change this to 40%, because 40% I know is the same as 4/10. Now this 81 here, I'm going to look at that as 80. And now, when I'm dealing with tenths, that's pretty easy, right, because I'm dividing by 10. So 80, divided by 10 is going to be 8. So in 1/10, there's going to be 8. Now in 4/10, that's 4 times 8, would be 32. So a good estimate for this, 39% of 81 would be 32.